Everything we know, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 212th iteration of the show, recorded on the 4th of October, 2016. My name is Josh Trelevin, and with me, as always,
co-host extraordinaire, Ryan Kirkby.
Ryan. Well, it's well into October. I was just saying, it feels like a magical month, I feel like.
It's magical, but it's also a little weird because...
magical and weird.
Well, I mean, we're close to the border, sort of thing here in Canada, and so we do have a lot of American awareness. In which case, we have that weird dichotomy of what the heck is going on in October. Because here up in Canada, for October, we have both Thanksgiving and then we have Halloween, whereas the Americans have Halloween and then over in November they'll have their Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Do you think that's what makes it does that explain my feeling of magicalness in the air?
We do have 200% the holidays that America does for our month of October.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have technically holiday, I don't know if Halloween is a holiday. It's not a state holiday.
No, it's not a state holiday, but it's definitely like an event.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens.
It's international. It's a great sort of thing. And the thing is, I mean, you can compare it to Christmas. I mean, the kids get presents on Christmas, but they get both, they get candies on both holidays, Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah.
But you get to dress up as like something awesome on Halloween. So it really comes down then to like what's the deciding factor: getting a chance to dress up and go do stuff, with friends, or getting presents. And you might have to dress up for that, but not stuff you usually want.
Well,
it's an itchy sweater and it looks all stupid and I got to look good for the relatives and we got to do photos.
Not as simple as that, because you get a lot more candy on Halloween if you do it right.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, heck, I'm going to try and organize something with the people in the apartment complex here about trick or treating, and letting maybe put something up, like a picture of like a Halloween decoration on the outside of the door, so people know which ones to knock on for Halloween. Oh yeah, sure. Because my wife has been buying Halloween treats for years now, and we have never gotten a knock on the door. And in all honesty, I have not gotten rid of the results of the Halloween candy from last year. It's
it's still in your...
it's still sitting around the midsection, just a little
your belly.
bit.
Okay. So
we're going to have to do something. And the more I can give away, the better off I will wind up being. So yeah, in this case, the more successful we are, the less candy we will actually have. So it inverts weird as an adult as opposed to the kid, where the better you're off you are, the more candy you get.
Basically you're saying Zoe has to suffer because of your
Zoe shall not suffer in the least. She still has candy from Easter she hasn't gotten through.
Okay.
And I've been sneaking that candy myself, a little bit here, a little bit there to wind it down, and it's just like, there is still stuff sitting in that dang container.
I guess she's not old enough to be a real candy fiend yet. Hey?
Thankfully, no. She appreciates more along the lines of cheeses for snacks.
Fine cheeses and wines.
Well, I won't lie. Thanks to a Yogscast song, she did ask me for half a shandy.
A shandy,
which would be a mixture of beer and non-alcoholic beverage.
It's like beer and water.
Well, it's usually something else. Water would just be watered down beer. Like a shandy would be, over in Italy they call it diesel if you mix a good deep brown lager with a cola. Whereas other stuff might be like a lighter India Pale Ale with, say, an apple juice.
Okay.
In France, they have a nice one where it's kind of a mid-level darkness for the beer with fruit juice, something for the cyclists, a little bit more refreshing than just drinking straight alcohol.
Nothing like beer while you're taking a cycle.
Yeah, well, you go out for a nice little cycle, you stop by at the bar sort of thing, you have yourself a nice little bit of fruit juice to help get those electrolytes back in you, but you also get the alcohol. There's some interesting things about shandies where the alcohol content is low enough that you can slip underneath the radar about whether or not you're selling alcoholic beverages in some nations.
Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, you can see the appeal of it from like at least a seller's standpoint that way.
Yes.
But yeah, apparently my daughter is already into the concept of good cheeses and good alcohols. Although I'm pretty certain she really doesn't know what the heck a shandy is. So, you know.
She just thought it was a funny word. It sounds tasty.
She saw a silly little gnome ask for it in a cartoon, so she asked for it as well. And she was able to replicate the accent. So, you know what? That's pretty damn cute.
Well, give that kid a shandy then. She wants it so bad.
Tell you what, I'll give her half a shandy. Not the beer part. I'll keep that part for myself at some point. She can just have the fruit juice side.
Okay,
there you go.
That's pretty much what she drinks.
Yes. But now she call it half a shandy.
Water or fruit juice, yeah.
Well, I ain't giving her beer, I'll say that. She's silly enough and wacky enough as is. I don't need alcohol added to that equation.
All right, well, you've managed to foil my plan.
We do have some news this week. Apparently, Minecraft has got another update rolling out. It's not out yet, but what they got for like the test realms stuff like that? Is it in that area yet, or is they just like hyping it up right now still?
I don't know what you mean test realm. It is. There are snapshots available.
Sorry. I'm used to the WoW system where you go to the test realms to test out like the new content.
Oh, I see. Some servers
snapshots
in Minecraft may have the snapshot installed. It is possible to do that. Well, Minecraft has recently in the last 2 or 3 months they've been a little bit more steady on the updates.
That combat update was a really big update, and it was really hard for them to pass through. So now that's done, things are hitting a bit more of the usual pace. Like, here's a couple of months, here's a nice little update, here's a couple of months, here's a nice little update.
Well, they made a deliberate decision the last couple of months to do smaller, quicker updates. I guess they saw what the people were complaining about. So it's been over a year since our last update. Yeah, it felt like a long time for that one update.
It was good for the modding community, though. Like, it was really good for them that way.
Well, I guess, it's nice to have a sort of a stable version of Minecraft. Although smaller updates also means less change in the source code, too. So there's pluses and minuses there, too. I haven't modded anything in the last year or so, although I'd like to get back and update all of my mods. But so Minecraft 1.11, I guess. So there's a few significant updates. I believe the one that caught your eye was the llamas. Well, I mean, I saw them all.
My
favorite my favorite thing is the mansions.
Okay.
I did mention the llamas because that's the thing, but my favorite
okay, in that case we'll start off small and kind of build ourselves up. They got new animal llamas.
So llamas are in
you can use carpets of different colors to give them nice little decorative side stuff, like what you see in like Peru with the nice little stuff like that. You can have them like line up in a train. So if you got like a lot of time, if for some reason you were not throwing out like your 72 stacks of cobblestone, and you want to move it from A to B, and then it's like, by the way, I'll stop by this little area here, and then you pick up like another dozen, stacks of something else, and you want to just move it all to one cohesive center. Llamas will line up in a train for that sort of thing, and so that way you can move like huge amounts of cargo.
Like with train carts?
No, they'll line up as in a train, as in like a line of animals going from point A to point B.
Okay. Well,
it's historically called like a train. It's okay.
That bothers me a little bit because I always thought that they need to fix mules and donkeys to do more of that sort of behavior. And also,
but now that they have that with
railways.
the llamas, it's very easy for them to add up in like another like little updates for thing. Oh, by the way, donkeys now do what llamas did too.
Well, hopefully.
And they'll all do it together. So I think they're just getting
you could mix donkeys and llamas in a train.
I think that'd be pretty awesome.
I would say that would be a good idea, but I doubt they'll do it.
Well, I have a suspicion that this whole thing about them lining up and all like working together, like to move stuff for you, was something that they just snuck in. it's like, oh, by the way, and they can do this too.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain whenever 1.12 comes out, sort of thing. If not, like if they can't get it completely done by 1.11, you will be seeing that with donkeys, mules, and maybe even horses as well.
Okay. Well,
maybe, fingers crossed, even the occasional pig. They still got to be useful for something.
Pigs
They were
could do that.
They were the original mount, so let's give them at least a little credit, right?
Uh-huh.
There you go. Maybe they only carry one as opposed to the two, so that way they're not as efficient.
The pigs carry what?
One chest of whatever it is, as opposed to like two.
The llamas have two chests?
Oh.
Okay.
They're a bigger animal. They should be able to carry more.
Bigger than donkeys?
They're about the same, comparable.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, if you are going to make it seem realistic, you want to have it balanced, sort of thing. So you should have like whatever the amount is on them, like apply it like each side, right? Because you don't want to load up all your stuff on one side of a donkey.
Oh,
right?
I see.
Yeah.
I don't think
So
Minecraft goes for that level, but maybe, I guess.
Okay, I'll admit it is a bit of a weird world, so if they want to do a side load from donkey, go for it. But it seems like they just managed to sneak this bit in, and if they can get it applied to the other animals, about everyone lining up to form like a wagon train, sort of thing, moving out.
That would be nice.
No actual wagons yet. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, a wagon would be cool. But yeah, I think Minecraft has always needed the minecarts to be able to connect better.
Yes. But I mean, heck, once they get this with the llamas, and once they get all the kinks worked out on that one, it shouldn't be too hard to apply the code into the other areas with the other animals.
I suppose. I mean, it doesn't seem like that hard of code to begin with. Like, this entity follow this entity at specified distance.
Well, it's the thing is it might not even be a high priority. This might just be someone's like, I stayed an extra half hour afterwards and kind of got this done. So could you guys maybe include it on it? It's like, well, it seems very good. I think we can put it in.
Possible we've just now talked about this feature longer than they even thought about it. So.
Precisely, sort of thing. But it's a very handy feature, and it winds up being the little things that wind up making some of the biggest differences.
Oh, I totally agree, yeah.
Other things is that they've apparently bringing in 2 new types of villagers. The first is a cartographer who will sell you maps, blank maps, which will be very handy, I think.
This is a profession that a villager can have.
Yes. I've always liked the concept of a map, but the fact that it had like redstone prerequisites always kind of like offset it for me.
Okay.
Because in order to get the map, not only do you need the paper, you need the compass for it, right?
Yeah.
And to get the compass, you need 4 bars of iron and the one pile of redstone dust.
Yeah, you can get redstone a little bit more easier now, though, because you might find it in a village chest, or you might find it above ground somewhere.
Still a little bit more limited compared to some of the other, stuff. So getting a blank map is a great sort of thing. It's great to find in a chest. I've never refused. Oh no, blank maps, I don't need them. It's like, forget you guys. I'm leaving something else behind. I'm taking this map with me. So I think it's nice to have a villager who's a little bit more focused on that one.
Okay, so there's a cartographer who makes maps for you.
Yes.
Cool.
There's also the nitwit sort of thing. He does no profession. He's just kind of like extra.
Yeah.
He's bloatware, sort of thing. He doesn't contribute to all the society aside from just making sure there's enough villagers to meet your okay, now we're not going to breed any more quota.
Well, I like that. Yeah.
I guess it's realistic sort of thing. Not everyone is like a producer of stuff, right?
Okay.
I'm a little bit.
I remember they have a green cloak in the. If you go into the image files for Minecraft and you look at all the raw images that they use to texture the creatures, there's all the different colors of cloaks or robes that the villagers would wear, and there was this green one in there that didn't appear in the actual game, and then
now it will be.
Do. So I think that's kind of cool. I like.
It's kind of cool. It'd be nice if they contributed some other way. Maybe if they're martially inclined, they got a weapon or something in their hand. I don't know. But the big bit, going back to the cartographer, is that occasionally they'll sell you a specific map.
Oh, okay.
A map that'll take you or lead you to a woodland mansion. This is the real big.
This is like making an actual game out of Minecraft, which for a long time has been this in this space between being a fun activity versus a game.
It's kind of like sandbox with a few little structures built in.
Yeah, so this is another sort of mission that you can get, is go to a cartographer, get a special map. The map tells you how to get to a mansion.
Woodland mansion, yeah, because apparently they only ever happen in, like, woods.
Okay.
And this is where they introduce the two... They're not villagers. They're like the dark counterparts. The term being used for them is the illagers. They're not friendly towards you. They wish you ill. They're the illagers.
Bad villagers.
Yeah. The first one is like an axe-wielding sort of maniac sort of thing.
The axe-wielding maniac.
He literally has an iron axe, and that's one of the major drops when you kill him. It's just like a iron axe.
Yeah, again, more like a real video game than what so far we've seen from Minecraft. But okay.
There's some specters going on, like ghosts, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
The other illager is like an evoker sort of thing. You know, he's a magician.
Like a spellcaster.
I won't lie, it's somewhere between warlock and vampire, from what it seems like, for the vibes I've been getting from this thing. Because he'll cast like spells and they'll the jaws come up from underneath the ground and snap at you, sort of thing. That's pretty awesome. I can't wait to see that one in play. I think it'll be great for a lot of people's reactions, but there's also other things he can do whenever he's not casting spells or trying to hurt you. He's running away. So there's some interesting mob control issues going on.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, the mansion is absolutely loaded full of these amazing rooms, like a lot of stuff like done out of wool. Here's this room just has like a giant villager's head done in wool.
Oh, so like artsy.
Yeah, it's
artwork.
very artsy. So, I guess a nice way of considering it would be a mix between vampire and artist, which, you know, depending on how many Anne Rice novels you've read, might not be too far of a difference between them. So it looks like there's a very interesting thing. It's not going to help you into the end game. It's not going to get you to the end quicker or anything like that. But it definitely adds a little bit more oomph to it. I mean, one of the greatest things I like about some of the mods I've had added to my game is just like the extra little structures they built. Like there's one, it's the archaeology revival mod. You can find these wonderful like archaeological, like structures sort of thing in there. They're all in absolutely horrible ruined states sort of thing. You can fix them up if you want. You can bust them down, if you want. And there's like loot inside. Mm-hmm. And I mean, is there a story to it? Not really. It's just like, okay, here's a random structure you find in your travels. It's an abandoned, like a cloning facility / archaeological, research, institute. Mm-hmm. It has fallen into disrepair. Do you wish to loot it? The first time I found one, I said, no, it's right next to a town. I'm going to fix this up, and it'll look great as part of my town. Hooray. So I just like just having that added. I mean, you could do an entire mod on that sort of concept, just adding random little buildings that have like little things to have happen.
Well, and there are mods, and there's one in particular called Blue Vanilla. I think I've mentioned it before, but it specifically has I think it's got its own server that users can upload schematics, which are fairly light files because it's just which blocks are used. But yeah, you upload schematics of buildings, and then it automatically populates. Whenever you update the mod again, or you can update frequently, it'll download all these schematics. I think you can just download them as a package on its own, so you can get them more frequently.
There are a few websites where they'll have just little packages of like, oh hey, like here's like a flat world biome with a few like houses I made and that sort of thing in there.
Yeah. So yeah, you get Blue Vanilla, install it as yet another mod, and you'll have all these buildings that other people have created will randomly appear in your world. I think sometimes it can be a little weird or random, but I think you can probably set some sort of quality control. I don't know the mod exactly, but you can like try and specify sort of medieval-only buildings rather than these monstrosities out of wool and diamond. Oh, as fun as that would be.
Well, it's the thing. It's just adding that little extra thing to come across, because vanilla Minecraft is a little empty, I think is the best term for it. It's not bad. It's just,
it's somewhat empty, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when you
depending on what you're looking for.
As a kid, if you start playing in a sandbox, like the ideal sandbox is going to be like almost like a blank, box of sand. And that's nice, but I mean, sometimes you kind of want to build from something, and don't want to have to just start with nothing, right? So I added a mod that had floating islands because I needed to find like some monster spawners to help unbreak my game because I am no longer getting natural monsters to spawn.
Oh yeah, right.
And so I wound up falling in love with it because it's like you venture here and then, oh hey look, there's a floating island up there. That looks amazing. And there's this big where the island was, is this big crater underneath. And because it's underneath, it is a prime area, I guess in most worlds, for where monsters are going to wind up spawning because it's so dark. And so it's like very dangerous on multiple levels. It's like quite an interesting concept. Like I could start a game again and just have the goal of lighting up the area underneath to prevent monsters from spawning, and then make my way up top so that I can, stop the monster spawner from doing that, and I'll start my fortress there. It's a very nice, thing to work with, is having that area. It's like, yes, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna build stuff there because there's already something there to work with.
Yeah, that's fun with Minecraft. Get a little boost. Of course, playing on a server, it's always fun to find what other players have built. That's
usually cool. I have been told there's a propensity for overindulgent phallic shapes.
Oh, well.
Depending on the server and how often it's cleaned out of people who do that.
I mean, I'm generally... I guess I'm okay with that occasionally.
No, it's just a wizard's tower and two little areas for doing stuff there.
That's the other thing. It's hard to make real good detail in Minecraft, so...
There's always compensation for size. You get better roundness the larger you try and make the circle, right? Of course, mind you, as we all learned from the geodesic dome, there is issues about space utilization when you've got those curves. The reason why almost every room you have in your house is some sort of cuboidal shape is because it's really easy to make use of that. If your room, imagine the room you're in right now. Just if you can. I mean, if you're driving, just don't stop what you're doing there. But if you're, if you're not just at your home, just listening and all that, take a look and imagine what could I do if this room was rounded, like a cylinder. And as it turns out, because our furniture is not made for rounded shapes, it's made for flat edges, you can't get the same amount of space out of a rounded room.
Yeah.
And it applies in 3 dimensions, which is why a large enough geodesic dome is okay on the bottom levels, but as you get towards the top, the curvature winds up meaning that you lose more and more space. Does look very fashionable, though, so there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
So, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but it's understandable though, because I mean, if you were to make rounded rooms, there'd be no standard for what is your curvature ratio. So then it's like, oh, I would like to move into this house, but there's nothing that matches the rounded curvature of my furniture, and thus none of my furniture is going to be fit properly against the walls. But a flat wall fits a flat couch every time. So, yeah, it's simplistic that way. Such is life. But yeah, what do you think about this edition? I mean, it's not a groundbreaking new edition, but it does add something. You don't even necessarily need to have this cartographer guy point to you. You could just be wandering around and it's like, oh, what the? Oh, hey, look at that! There's a mansion out here in the woods. I found it.
Yeah, I think I'm generally in favor. I don't know. I'll have to see how I haven't played against the new mobs yet. We'll have to see.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Yogscast have their initial foray in there. Whether it's Sips and Shin or anyone else or thing, I think I'd like to see their reactions.
What I don't like, and this actually goes back to the introduction of probably witches, maybe even Endermen though. Is that I had this problem with if the zombies are so hungry for player flesh and villager flesh for that matter, why do they ignore villagers? Or not? Why do they ignore witches? Because the witches are just as tainted as they are, and these illagers are gray sort of thing. They are not standard flesh tone. Okay. There's something not right about them. So in that case, the zombies don't just want your flesh; they want the purity of the soul within. So the witches are what? Corrupt. They're corrupt? Yes.
Well, they're throwing like poisons at you. That ain't a good thing. Their souls.
Yeah, but like you don't have to be corrupt to use poison.
No, you do have to be a bit of a dick to poison other people.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
So the zombies just they just like bad. Like they're like, well, you're a bit of a dick, so we're on your side, so we're not gonna eat you.
Your soul is unclean with your foul acts. You do not taste good to us. You're horrible. There's the artificial divide about the whole thing. Yes. I mean, like if how are you going to wind up doing that? Because like right now you've got your friendly, mobs. You've got your neutral mobs, and then you've got your hostile mobs. And that's a very nice way to split the three groups up into. You're going to want like hostile like versus like this and that, and you're going to subdivide your hostilities down.
I think that would be a fun little exercise to do. It'd be just to sort of create this overlapping system of like, well, this mob doesn't like this mob, but the third mob will like one or the
undead
other.
versus hostile biotic versus hostile alien.
Yeah, but the other thing was witches never used to be like they used to only spawn in witch huts.
Yes, it used to be quite rare.
That would make more sense. Or if they like, I would like if they were like a subset of villager or lived just outside a village or something like that, so that it makes sense, and then zombies would go after them. You wouldn't get quite so many.
I won't lie. I do appreciate the witches spawning, randomly throughout the night, sort of thing. It does add a little bit more chaos to trying to survive a night encounter. It's like, oh, look at me, I got my armor, I got my weapon. Look at me, I'm so tough. And it's like, wow, poison. What's going on here? I suppose they could have gone the alternative route of having like skeletons. Have like enchanted arrows of some sort, like it's a poison tipped arrow, or it's a flaming arrow sort of thing. So yeah, they could have gone about it in a bit of a different way. But I'm like, this was the easy way. It's like, add witch to spawning at night, done. Now on to something else. Hey, is it Pizza Friday? All right, let's go.
Yeah, there's Mojang for you.
Yeah. I like to imagine they get Pizza Fridays every once in a while. Maybe not every Friday, but every once in a while.
But the other thing, I guess, I don't know if I'm allowed to complain about this, but like, some of this stuff, like llamas has come up, I don't know, hundreds of times, way back to, I don't know, 2012. When I first started it was like 2012, 2013.
Quick mods, yeah. It's like, oh, I made a llama.
Well, there were mods and there were request boards, and people were like, over and over again on the Minecraft suggestions, like there's a suggestions forum.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if it still exists or not, but I think there's a Reddit for it now.
Seeing it, yeah.
But yeah, it's just like
weekly.
I guess so many people are playing Minecraft that like, out of the millions who are playing, 1,000 will be like, hey, I have a great idea, and they'll all go to the forum and they'll be like, well, okay, I made an account. And now I'm going to put up my great idea. It's like, you're the 500th person to suggest llamas for this game. And then the people, like the regular people on the forums, the suggestion forums, they get very aggravated because they're like, oh, we've seen this so many times. Everybody's asking about llamas.
It happens. I mean, like, over in Dwarf Fortress, it seems like once a week somebody suggests multiplayer option or multi-core threading.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, like, listen, all you have to do is just look down. I mean, it's not even left the page. Somebody asked it last week, and if you want to, like, do a quick search for, like, a player, you'll find out this is literally being asked once a week, every week since 2010.
And when you finally get, like, and I'm not saying llamas are, like, the top suggested items for Minecraft, but it is a fairly frequent one that comes up fairly regularly. People ask for llamas. But when you've seen that like a bunch of times, you finally see it added into the game. It's a little bit like bittersweet. It's like I got used to the game.
There's your damn stinking llamas.
Well, but now I'm asking about where's the alpacas? Where's the next mob that's on the list? Like, and so there's there can be hundreds of mobs on. Like I want what I want for Minecraft. I've wanted
like the Mole Creatures mod.
2012. No, I want a mole, like not just a baby, like a little mole.
Actually digs out squares?
But like sort of probably like a pig-sized or sheep-sized creature that like digs through the earth and could be hostile, could be maybe a wolf-style neutral. Like
well,
it might
that's the
attack
thing.
you.
It's like if it's digging out squares and you're trying to maintain and cultivate your perfect little landscape,
well, then you'll kill it.
It's very hostile to you.
Yeah, you don't like that. It's like being a farmer. It's like you don't want vermin in your fields or whatever.
Dang you, Peter Cottontail.
Yeah, so that's a thing that I think Mojang should add. And then of course, also that's a thing that many people have suggested. Oh, like how about a giant mole? Like that would be cool for Minecraft. A giant mole, that'd be awesome.
From Minecraft perspectives, it is a very interesting option.
And,
I could see it maybe making it towards Mole Man. Sort of thing.
Sure, yeah.
Because the way that the Endermen moving blocks away is hostile.
Yeah.
Very much, and how like the creepers blowing up, destroying your blocks is hostile.
Yeah.
In which case, yes, it's that weird particular niche of how the game operates, whereby moving or changing the blocks is a hostile thing, unless it's you doing it.
Yeah, and they could be, I think they should probably be like wolf style, where they're generally neutral. They're just moving these around, unless you punch them, and then they get mad at you and they attack you.
You could make them Ant-Man, I suppose. It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, or Ant-Man, or giant worms, Dune.
Annelida Hemoths.
Or whatever have you. But yeah, so and then and it might come like 2 or 3 updates from now. Minecraft or Mojang might eventually say, hey, we haven't done moles yet. Let's finally get around and do our version. They'll probably do like their own take on it, their own mechanics. They'll
of course,
something else or a different color or
got to make it your own, right?
Yeah, but then they'll be like, okay, well now here's moles for you. So.
I'm fine with that.
I guess that's how it goes. It can't be like with Mo Creatures. It's like, well, the guy basically spit out all these animals, like maybe one a week or something like that, but basically really fast compared to Mojang, because you can you can do mobs that.
It's
quick.
all set up for you to just add them in.
Yeah, it's a very quick change to just change the shape of the body of the creature, draw a new texture for it. You can add a few new artificial intelligence AI activities, but you don't have to do too many. And boom. But whereas Mojang really takes their time with it, and they add a llama, but the llama has very little more functionality than
it does
before.
Spit.
It spits.
It does 1 point damage, does like half a heart.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So it's just a nice little quirk, right? They added polar bears in the previous 1.10 update, didn't they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They do sort of one kind of creature per update.
Which is not bad. Think of all the updates they did where they didn't add any creatures. I think if they have, maybe unofficially, but if they have the policy where you just add one creature per update as an extra little feature, it seems much more robust to what you're adding into the game.
I would kind of agree with that, yeah. If every update is just, here's your creature, here's your this, here's your potion, here's boom, there your
creature, structure, potion, animals, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they do have 2 new enchants. They're like curse enchants.
Okay.
The one is that it can't unequip off of you unless you die. So it's not something you can really change out. It's there until it's like destroyed or you're dead. The other one is that it disappears upon your death. So if you got like this curse enchant on all your stuff and you die, don't even bother for a corpse run. It's all gone, man. It is all gone.
I don't like that because that's very meta.
It does fit with the style of the game, though. So I'm allowed to buy that.
You're okay with it? Okay.
Just because it works for how the game operates. It is a little meta, but it works with the reality of the game world.
Yeah.
So there's that. Don't know if I'll ever wind up encountering it myself. I utilize the Tinker's Craft stuff, so I'm doing alternative enchanting via upgrades.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a couple updates behind just in my main game, anyways. Just because I have my own mods going on. But yeah, at some point, I should update. I
wouldn't mind seeing the polar bears, seeing the igloos, seeing the mansion, seeing the llamas.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think all around it's very good. And that's the thing is they have the enchantments, they have the new villagers, they have the new structure, they have the new enemies. and they got the animal. That's 5 different categories of stuff. This is going to feel like a very robust, well-rounded update, as opposed to like just we added combat stuff that changes out now.
Yeah, well, yeah, for gameplay-wise, it feels more complete. And also, like, a lot of times with updates, it's like, well, we updated our whole, world-saving algorithm, which
That's very good.
You never see, but your world does save a little faster. Your world renders a bit faster.
It's now one, like a half gigabyte less in size. You're welcome.
I mean, great, but it doesn't feel like you don't feel like you're playing any different of a game.
But here's the thing. I mentioned I'm not going to be too big on these enchants. I'm probably not going to encounter them. Yeah, just how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's one less thing that's going to apply. It's just like, useless background information, right?
Yeah, true.
And so that's still 4 other things for me to go with to say, like, I kind of like this update because it added illagers. That's my big thing. Illagers in the mansion. Oh, boy, that's 2 things there. I really dig that. Yeah. Maybe you wind up really digging the llamas. You want to become a llama farmer there, Josh. That's something for you. So it's different reasons, but it's the same update. It's good diversification going on there. And I think that's something that everybody who's making a game, or at least trying to update a game, could take and learn a lesson from. Like, updating is good. Updating frequently is great. Mm-hmm. But making sure you've got varied updates. There's a little bit for this person, a little bit for that person. Nobody winds up feeling really neglected. A little something for everyone.
Yeah, because I guess your target audience, whatever game you happen to be working on, you're not going to have a monolithic audience who all wants exactly the same thing from the game, and the same thing as you envisioned when you first made the game. That's not going to be necessarily what everybody wants either.
I am not a PvPer. As much as I like the games I play, never been big on it. I usually do it because I have to get something else I want.
Yeah. So if you were designing a game, though, Ryan, like, imagine yourself in the seat, or imagine yourself as an executive or something like that, sort of in control of a team.
I'll take somewhere between executive and actually on the ground floor.
So you get to actually dabble a little bit.
The imagination guy, the guy who helps come up with the concept sort of thing.
Okay. But you know that you're kind of generally not a PvP guy in most of the games you play, right?
I won't lie, like, the Secret World's been the best for me by far, and even that one has not treated me kindly because I don't have the right build for it yet.
Yeah.
Still working on it. I took some detours to spend my points on. I'm a little behind on completing all my skills.
But if you were designing a game that had potential to have like a whole PvP component,
I think it should definitely be included.
You would include it, and would you want to work on it, or would you actually dive into it for that reason?
I would try and help out with it, but realizing that it's not my passion, I would definitely be accepting considerations from others with much more weight behind their words.
Okay.
If I'm much more into telling a story, and I'm like, okay, this is the motifs we got to keep working with this theme here, and someone says, well, what about, something, like bright and shiny as opposed to something like dark and spooky? I'm like, well, that doesn't really fit with our theme, but we'll see if we can't add in elements thereof to make it more cohesive as a whole so it doesn't seem jarring to our listeners.
Like that sparkling winged horse that they added to World of Warcraft back a couple of years ago.
I won't lie, they do have a unicorn that farts rainbows in the Secret World.
Okay.
The farting rainbows actually increases its speed. It's a speed boost sort of thing.
Of course. Why wouldn't it?
I mean, they got like a Franken-chopper where you get a nitrous oxide speed boost, so you might as well have something for the unicorn too, right? It fits with the unicorn theme, even if a unicorn farting rainbows isn't exactly in with the Secret World's main theme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some room for, like, alternative weird stuff, because, like, as we said before, contrast, highlights best.
Okay, yeah. As in a previous episode, which listeners can go back and listen to.
I think it's also, like, a common theme that you see, like if everything was absolutely just, like gothy level depression, just shattering down on you depression, like just everything is horrible, then it winds up getting fairly monotonous and it's hard to take it as seriously. You get that nice little ray of sunshine, and then the depression seems much more pronounced.
Did you ever play a game called Gone Home? I think it's called.
I do not believe so.
Okay, it is somewhat depressing. It's a moody game. I'll quickly describe it. You play I think you're taking the role of a teenage girl who comes home to her house. The entire game takes place in the house, and you learn facts, and it's raining outside, so it's very moody, and it's kind of dark. The power.
So does it have that background sound of like the rain outside? Because that's very calming.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Oh,
very
nice. Atmosphere, yeah.
Let's see. And you basically you explore the house, and you just learn this story basically of the girl and like her family and stuff, and her uncle.
Not bad for a one-off. The replayability doesn't seem like it'd be very high.
I think there's some replayability because the story can change depending on which clues you unveil first.
In which order? Oh, okay.
And there are some rooms of the house that you can only get to if you do certain things. So there's a little bit of replayability. I don't think there's a lot, though.
Okay, well, that's not bad. I mean, like you don't have to like read the book like the same time, same book every week, right? Just because you like it the first time.
I will say that game, like I think I talked about it with somebody else. Maybe it wasn't on the podcast but it feels more like reading a novel than playing a game.
It's a visual novel, is what it effectively is. There's room for that.
It's an interactive. Yeah.
I know some critics don't like that sort of thing, where it's like it's not a video game if all you're doing is going places and reading it. But I mean, I think there should be room in this world for visual novels.
Well, I guess the other thing is
it helps set the tone and the atmosphere too. That just sitting down with a book is not going to be able to always provide for you.
Yeah, and why make this complaint about it's not a video game? As long as it's an enjoyable experience or a enlightening experience or just experience that was interesting and worth the money, then does it have to be called a video game per se? I guess you could sell it beside novels instead of video games if you.
I think it would probably sell better in the video game section, even though it's more of a graphic, visual novel style.
Probably, yeah. Although at this point, like, because you have online stores now, right?
Yeah, Steam stores.
You have Steam. I think there should be more like cross promotion between things like audiobooks and video games and TV shows. Like they should sort of. I don't know if they advertise next to it or
there
in the store,
is
but
much more room to do so than there is currently being seen for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you can do that much better than you can do in like a bookstore, say like Chapters downtown. Can they order like a shelf of video games just to say, well, hey, if you like these books, you might also like the video game? Well, they don't seem to do that, even though
gotta know your core, like a money spending audience.
Yeah. Because you could sell the book right next to the DVD in the case of a novel that's been adapted for film. You could have them right next to each other, and the video game. You could have all three, but you don't see that in physical stores too much.
No, it's rather difficult to have them all out and be fresh and new at the same time.
Yeah, but with a digital store, you probably could do. You could even do a package. I think iTunes has done that before. Has packaged like all three. Video game, film,
that's
novel.
The thing. It's like I'm not a big fan of the Apple stuff, but I'm not going to lie. They know how to sell, and they know very well.
I think they have some good ideas. Some of the things in the store I'm not a big fan of, but I think a few things they've done really that's a brilliant idea. Like,
exactly. They're not complete idiots over there. They do have a couple of smart apples over at Apple.
Yeah, for some reason they're like the biggest brand ever. Well, are they? Is Microsoft bigger still? I don't know.
Comparable with Akhenaten? Yeah, it's about the same these days, isn't it? Yeah, they're big. I'm not going to deny them.
Where were we?
The 1.11 update. I think seems rather good, rather all-encompassing.
Okay, yeah. So Minecraft is updated. We should talk about our personal journeys.
Updating, not updated. That 1.11 isn't out and fully corrected out yet. So you're gonna have to go to the snapshot.
Oh yeah, it's still only snapshots, not the full version. Although it might even be another week or two before we get the actual release.
Provided everything goes smoothly.
I guess
this is like debugging issues, right? For the main thing right now, that they've got the concepts. So if they encounter something bad, something really like, oh god, this corrupted the entire game, and all of a sudden we lost half the world. It's just like a whole of you try and walk over there and the game crashes. Maybe we're not going to release it next week. So programming. Sometimes things take a long time. Heck, there was an update to which one was it? I think it was the Street Fighter series. They released a patch, to update it sort of thing. I was like, update this sort of thing. And then it was so game-breakingly bad, they had to undo the entire update and just throw it away. It was game-breakingly bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank goodness they did that, because sometimes when they encounter a bad game, something that winds up crashing it, they'll just do a hot fix to it quickly. No, in this case, it was so bad, sort of thing. It only lasted 2 hours before they hit the revert button. So, woo. So yeah, sometimes it pays to find the bugs before you release, and I think Mojang's good for that.
Yeah, well, they've been doing it basically by trial and error, because they've been always in the middle of everybody, wanting their game, and then bugs existing, and so. Yeah,
it happens. And Lord knows I've played enough Dwarf Fortress versions where it's okay, this game works until you try and you hit the button to look at things, and then the game freezes up, freezes your entire computer, bricks it. You got to reset.
Yeah. Okay.
So it only lasted about a day that way, though. I figured out what it was, fixed it. Here's version 0.06 instead of 0.05. So,
okay.
Yay! Turnaround. Yes, what have you done this week, though, Josh? Much Minecraft for you?
In my video games, no, not a lot of Minecraft. But I did play a bit more of Dwarf Fortress. I explored. I think last week I mentioned in my Dwarf Fortress game I had dug down to a certain level and found a mysterious stone floor.
Yes, that's right. Yes, nothing like slate or anything. It was just regular stone.
Well, it was rock salt. Yeah, blocks. Rock salt. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, so what's up with that, Josh?
Well,
Tell the story.
Basically, I kept on digging below it, and it's just what it is it enters in one side of the map, does a little 90-degree turn, then another 90-degree turn, and exits the other side. So it looks like it's just an underground highway.
Oh, weird. Maybe it is the new underground highways. I must admit, I haven't played the adventure mode and actually done this underground exploration. Yeah. The last time I tried exploring underground, I got lost forever. Yeah.
I'll have to try.
I also lost an elf down there, and I feel really bad because my elven compatriot lost. This is like an immortal elf sort of thing. Just lost forever in the underground. Yeah. Never again to see the light of day. Just abandoned by its a dwarven, a mentor.
Well, if you're an elf and you're immortal, does that mean that you don't have to eat or drink?
You do have to eat and drink, but elves have this weird thing where they're at one with nature, so they can just go up. I tried it with an elf adventure. I just went up and I just started punching rhinos, and they didn't attack me back. I just wailed on the rhino till it died, because I'm friends with nature. They don't run away from me. From an elf.
Okay, but how does it help you escape from underground?
It doesn't, except that it allows me to find easy food to eat underneath there while I'm there.
Oh, okay. So if you happen across a cave crocodile, you could just kill it.
Apparently, just beat it senseless, eat it, and then drink the water it was swimming in.
So I don't feel too bad for this elf, although he'll have a bad long time.
A bad eternity.
No, he'll find his way out.
I never did.
Well, you didn't have an eternity.
No, but it was so bad, I'm so far lost, and the chances of finding a cave system that will get me to the surface are so small and random, and there's no way to fast track out. It's just, my claustrophobia's already eaten up on that sort of thing. It's you're stuck there forever. Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't backtrack?
By the time I realized I was gotten fully lost, I had moved in so many different areas, I couldn't see where the backtracking was going to wind up being. So I was just wandering around and around and around.
Although, I would think an elf, given infinite amount of time and not having to eat or drink,
or not having to worry about eating and drinking.
Yeah, I would think you should be able to find your way out just using left-hand rule or something like that. Mark or pile up little stones if you don't have something to mark walls with, and you find where you've piled up stones.
There was nothing to mark for that sort of stuff effectively, really. It was just you're lost now forever. If you're lucky, you will encounter a forgotten beast that existed from the start of time, and it will eat you, and that will be a merciful end to your life.
Is that how the forgotten beasts got down there? They're just surface creatures from another era that got lost down there.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah.
I guess they would be, yeah.
They existed in a time before time.
Yeah.
That's a dark and spooky thing, man. That's just horrible.
Do I have what was that? What else? Oh, I started making glass.
Oh, congratulations!
Which is, I guess, I don't know.
It's a little difficult to work with, sort of thing, because you got to have that mix of like I've got so many bags to get the sand versus what the materials are required. Did you have a regular glass furnace or a magma glass furnace?
Regular.
Oh, okay. So it does require a little bit more coordination with charcoal or stuff like that.
I need charcoal and perlash.
Perlash if you want to get the good clear glass.
Okay.
If you want the green glass, it's just charcoal.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I needed clear. Well, it doesn't look clear when you put it in the world. It
kind of like a that opaque glass you see in classy restaurants and stuff.
Well, yeah, to me it does. Yeah.
The glazed glass.
Yeah. But I basically put a I have a were creature that is a child that is like stuck in a little tiny room.
Yeah, how'd that go?
In my hospital. Well, he's still in there. I looked at his age. He's 4 years old currently, so I have another 8 years before, or they reach adulthood at 12. Yeah. So another 8 in-game years before he would normally reach adulthood. Sorry, I keep saying he. I don't know why.
It.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean.
Well, so it's going to be very interesting to find the results of that. I'm not going to lie.
But basically, what I did is I put a window in there now, so.
Oh.
I don't know if they can break windows, but
yes, they are building destroyers.
Well, she hasn't destroyed the door yet, so
it might take time. I have been attacked by Yetis before, and it looked like they were just like stopped outside there. I'm like, oh boy, I'm safe. And then I look, it's like, why is this door so heavily damaged? Oh God, it's actually busting down the door. So you might want to double check the door every once in a while to see signs of damage.
Yeah, okay, well I'll do that. Can it break through gem windows?
Yes. It's basically the same as like just upturning like a thing. It'll just walk up to it and then it'll be like, oh hey, I deconstruct this.
Oh.
Which is weird because like when it takes like when a dwarf is like deconstructing an actual thing, it takes them much longer to like undo it. When it's just like, well, why didn't you just flip it like the werewolf did? You just did that in like 3 seconds. Why didn't you just flip it?
Well, anyways, I guess I'll find out soon enough. And I figured out now how
Please try and keep it alive, though, if you can. I'm really intrigued as to seeing the answer to this.
12,
if they age to adulthood.
But yeah, I figured out how to sort of quarantine dwarves if they happen to get bit by a were creature in turn.
So should this happen again, you do have a procedure you can put into a protocol.
Yeah, and I have a section. I managed to move my vampires down to another section too.
Oh,
so they're sort of stuck. They basically, I figured out like when you convict them of a crime, your sheriff or whoever will put them in chains.
Yes.
So I've set up a jail for them, and they're serving a few hundred days each for all their crimes. But then basically I forbid the door, so they're not getting out again. And
they don't rampage, sort of thing, despite their strength. So yay, congratulations.
I think we'll be okay.
Things are going to be all right.
Yeah. Although one of them really wanted to meet with a diplomat for some reason.
Probably blood drinking purposes. Unless it's like an ambassador itself. I won't lie, occasionally the weird things happen in the game, and you'll encounter like, oh hey, I am the liaison. I'm also a vampire, blah blah.
Yeah, that can happen.
I once had a fortress effectively ground to an absolute halt when the diplomat that came to interact with me from the humans was a forgotten beast / worshipped a god.
Yeah.
And just kept wandering around, smashing my doors, like deconstructing everything. It's just like, God damn it! I am trying to build an ice palace on the top of a volcano here, and you are just coming in and wrecking all my stuff.
Yeah, indeed.
Long story short, I had to create a ballista crew that would cause friendly fire that wound up destroying it.
That reminds me, though, of visitors. I built a tavern and I have a library and a temple.
Oh, congratulations!
So I think the only thing I don't have. No, I think I have all the locations. And I have a training gym or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Training area.
Yeah.
So
barracks,
barracks. Or is it? Well, anyways, yeah. So basically, I've been getting a lot of visitors in, and 2 or 3. I think I've got like 5 petitions, like of people who want to stay in my
long-term petitions followed up by permanent resident status.
Okay, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. They just say they want to live here, so I'm like, yep, accept. I don't see a reason why not to, although maybe I'll find out later. But yeah, a couple of bards and a couple of like professional soldiers. So I think that's kind of good because my militias have been, regular dwarves who are doing other jobs. So when you get an emergency, you have to call them all the way from their jobs.
A lot of canceled spam stuff going on.
Yeah, so now you can.
Well, the thing is, the head of your militia does have to be one of your dwarves. You can't have like a foreign legion composed entirely out of outsiders.
Okay.
Almost awesome. Still pretty good, I won't lie.
Yeah. But yeah, my fortress is. I feel like I'm doing pretty well. Like I've got lots of weapons. I've made weapons, armor, clothing.
Very good.
And I've got 2 or 3 gem workshops that are all 4 gem workshops, either cutting gems or encrusting items with gems. So making lots of stuff. I have a duchess. Ooh. Like my leader of my dwarf colony is a duchess.
I believe that's just one step underneath the the mountain homes moving in with getting your monarch.
So you get a king or?
Yeah, I think
king or queen, I guess.
Baron, count, duke, and then the king moves in, or queen, whoever the monarch happens to be.
Now, does the queen of the mountain homes come from somewhere else, or
yes.
do you get promoted?
They come from outside.
Okay, so I'll still have my duchess. Will still have her all of her quarters, her throne room and everything, but I'll just have to build a new one for the king.
Even more opulent. Sometimes they get room envy if someone of lesser station has better quality places.
Okay, yeah, I think I should be okay though, because I
use some more encrusted stuff around there.
Well, yeah, I guess I figured out that's how you get valuable accommodations is you can smooth the floors, you can engrave the floors, engrave the walls.
If you have some very nice high quality weapons, you can put a weapon trap in there and fit up to 10 of them in, and then just not attach it up to anything, and then the value of the weapons increases the room. It's effectively an art sculpture for that.
A weapon trap? What's that?
It's a trap you can add where instead of putting just a spike or anything like that, you can add up to 10 different weapons. So anyone activating on the square when it activates will end up getting hit by the amount of weapons.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which I won't lie. I mean, there was a game or two where I was trying to save up all the flails I could find just so I could have not just a pure flail trap because dwarves don't normally make them. So it'd be like that. You step on this and all of a sudden, whoosh, you just get 10 lashes right up the backside. It seems like it's just absolutely wonderfully violent trap. I mean, it's technically no more violent than large serrated glass cutting discs. Or, spiked balls, dropping on anyone like that. But it's just 10 whips coming out of nowhere and just whipping the hell out of you. Oh, yeah, that looked vicious, man. It's in my mind.
I haven't yet tried to do, but I'll ask you this. I want, how the nobles get their own dining room sometimes?
Yes.
I'm wondering, if I put a bunch of chairs and tables in there, are other people going to be able to dine with the noble?
I believe they can, but it's one of those weird things where dwarves will dine when they get hungry.
Yeah.
And it's just it'll be mostly by happenstance.
So,
but there may wind up being a party in there at some point held by the royal.
Okay. Oh, cool. Because I imagine maybe it would be other dwarves can only come in there and eat when the noble's also there, something like that?
No, they'll just basically try and find any seat when they can get some food.
Okay.
So if you put a food stockpile next to the dining room, they'll come in, they'll wind up sit down and eat.
Okay.
It makes for a lot more of a commonplace sort of thing. It's oh yes, this is the Duke's dining room, but I'm hungry, I'm going to sit down there. Oh hey Duke, you're here too. Let's chat while we eat. Right. They don't really chat, but it's nice to imagine.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on in Dwarf Fortress for me. Oh, I built a windmill.
Oh, congratulations! How much wind you get?
40.
Hey, not bad. You maxed out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 40, 20, or 0, and you can't tell until after you build one on the map, and there's no changing it.
Oh, I see.
So you got the most amount of power out of it.
And it's just on the entire map it's going to be the same? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently it doesn't even change. It's just something that randomly generates when you embark.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I wonder if it helps to be on a mountain or a plain, because probably forest wouldn't get as much wind.
To the best of my knowledge, there doesn't seem to be any factor on it. It's just random.
It's just random. Okay.
At least for now. I'm pretty certain there's a plan for it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just remembered one other thing. I have been watching a Netflix series called Gallivant.
Okay.
Me and Janelle have been watching it. It's a story about a knight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comedy musical.
Ooh.
The knight's name is Gallivant.
Uh-huh.
So it's very self-aware. It's very
tongue-in-cheek sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And it's like song and dance numbers and stuff. How else to describe it? It's a series. It's a TV series. Our hero Gallivant gets spurned by his bride-to-be because the king tries to steal her away. And then Gallivant is like, "You won't go with him, will you? He's gross," or something, and famous. And then she's like, "Actually, I think maybe it's a better idea to go with the king because he's got money and stuff." And
so I ain't saying she's a gold digger.
So then he's like, all down in the dumps, and then he gets called upon to do a quest by some other damsel in distress. And he has a squire who's also funny and sings and stuff.
So how much is this this new lady actually, in it for him versus in it for like, hey, I need you to do something for me?
Well, this is the
that's the crux of it.
I don't know if it's a crux because it keeps getting slipped. She was hired by the evil king to trick Gallivant into coming back to the kingdom, where they all are, so that the king can kill Gallivant. Although why the king thinks he could just kill Gallivant, I don't know, because Gallivant's like a pretty good fighter and stuff. But I guess if the king has an army, he should be okay.
The king also seems to have self-esteem issues. It's like, I got your lady, but I have to kill you to make certain she'll stay mine.
That's exactly, you basically quoted him, or something. Although he also sings it.
So she will stay mine. No, I'm not even going to try hitting any of those proper notes.
Although, your facial hair is... Oh, no, he has a full beard, doesn't he? Yeah.
I could grow a full beard, but, I don't know. Yeah. The wife and kid wouldn't like it.
Although he's also kind of more gray and stuff. So
give me time on that. I mean, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Recommend it? You recommend? Yay, nay?
I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I laughed. I like... If you are into things like musicals, I know not everybody loves musicals.
I have been told one of the biggest criticisms against Sweeney Todd was that it wasn't advertised enough as a musical to warn people. Yeah,
some people don't like that. But give me those songs and dances. I like it. I had so much fun.
I'm nuts for them myself.
The lyrics to all of the songs are very clever. They're very, they're clever. They're funny and very well written. Good jokes.
Very good. Because jokes are hard enough to get going right, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then to do jokes in song, well, that's a double stack up against you. So if they can make that work, hey, they got talent behind them.
Yeah. It's a really good show.
Okay.
I like it. Out of 13 Dwarves, I give it maybe the full 13. Let me see. I guess I'm giving it bonus because it's a comedy. They sort of break the fourth. Well, not the fourth wall, but they break they kind of wink about the things that are happening in the show.
They're kind of self-aware, troporific.
Yeah, so
that's not too bad.
I guess that makes it okay, right? Yeah. But also at the same time, they're kind of using tropes, and they're just like, well, we're going to use this trope, so there you go.
It's not bad. I mean, like so long as they're playing it and making it their own, should be able to work out right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say give it 13 out of 13 dwarves.
Not bad.
Yeah. So that's been my simulations that I've experienced.
As for me, I think the biggest thing for me this week, in the long term, was the closing of Marvel Avengers Alliance. It ended on the September 30th, to the stroke of midnight, on October 1st. I had a fear of this, but it hadn't been confirmed until about the 2nd or 3rd of this month, and it's just up to yesterday. My logging into Facebook has grown increasingly more erratic and spread apart without this game to anchor me in. So I'm going to have to reforge my habit of going onto Facebook once a day.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I got to go on there once a day just to, do some stuff on the game there. And while I'm there, I'll browse everybody and what they've been doing the last 24 hours. Okay, and off I go to other things. But without that there, it's just like, oh, I guess I missed it, whatever. If it's important, someone will notify me somehow. I'm okay with the game being gone. It actually had an ending to it, even if it wasn't the ending.
And you got to the ending?
I didn't actually beat Odin, who was like the 3, round end epic boss fight. But to do that, I would have had to have gotten the random rolls that got me the stuff I needed to research the weaponry that would have bypassed his shield.
Okay.
So that would have been pretty convoluted, and you know what? I only got a couple hours left.
And then the game is gone.
So it's like, okay, spend the 10 gold I'm not going to have in about 20 minutes anyways. Get that done, see what it says for the ending. And it's not bad. I enjoyed it. Some great character artwork for the heroes.
To destroy Odin utterly,
or just
forever.
Just defeat him.
Okay, to defeat Odin, all it costs is 10 gold.
To get the accomplishment for the whole chapter sort of thing, to do that. And
I guess you did most of the work, but the 10 gold put you over the top.
The 10 gold is just like a quick way of adding all the the quest stuff you have in that game can be bypassed, which is not bad. I mean, if you don't have the final hero you need on the special ops sort of thing, and you have to get the final one, which was always defeat the epic boss, just pay the 10 gold, get it done, get your new hero, and make sure you don't wind up having to pay 200 command points for them later.
Okay,
it's a thing. It has its advantages that way. So I got to have an ending on that one. That said, I think I am going to miss it.
Yeah.
Mostly for the characters. It introduced me to some superhero characters that I had not known well before, and it got me a chance to really fall in love with the characters I knew all over again.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to see which one my daughter went for. I've been a big fan of Squirrel Girl since I first encountered her, and Zoe they connect like that. She's like, oh, Dad, can you have Squirrel Girl in this fight? And I'm like, well, sure. And I got her up to a good enough level that even when it was against my favor to have her in the group, I was able to have her in there and have her help out. So that's nice.
Good.
The new Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, Zoe really got some good appeal. Like, wow, she was like, oh, who's this girl? Look at that. She can make her hands big, and she can do, oh, look, a boot to the head. And that was actually the name of her ability, was boot to the head.
Okay.
From the old Frantics comedy routine of the same name. And it's like, wow, you really connected up with that one. So it was nice to see. So now, if I want to get my daughter into comics sort of thing, I have a very good inclination as to what sort of thing to go for. Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl being the best two ones I can think of. There's some other ones she definitely enjoyed. So it's nice to have gotten a baseline reading off that while I could. And like I said, some of the artwork for the character designs was just absolutely amazing. You want a good clear-cut image of what this superhero looks like? There you go. And it's pretty high up on the Google search images for the superheroes too. So it's nice to see that clean artwork up there. But I miss it. The biggest thing that happened to me for fiction-based in the more immediate term was I finally got around to watching Reanimator. Starring Jeffrey Combs from 1985, based on the H.P. Lovecraft story Herbert West Reanimator.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Not 100% faithful to the the whole thing, but it tells a good story.
Okay,
I loved it. I fell in love with it so quickly, so immediately. It was everything I like in a good horror movie.
So this is a little bit like Lovecraft's version of Frankenstein, like sort of a better version.
At least a shorter version, something you can read, sort of thing in an afternoon. Like the whole Frankenstein thing is a bit of a thicker novel.
Okay.
Doesn't go into like this is like Frankenstein went into more the depths of like what it means to be a monster and like who's the real monster, Victor Frankenstein or the monster he creates, and like is it based on action, is it based on like circumstance and all that sort of thing. Whereas Lovecraft just wrote about like the concept of what it would be like to try and circumvent death and some of the craziness that might come about, like being able to animate things back to life.
Okay.
Jeffrey Combs is an amazing actor. I've been listening to him for a while now. He's a voice actor here. He did that voice there. And so it was nice to see him in the role that made him famous. I'm not certain why I didn't watch the movie like any time in the last 20 years. Wait, 85 to 95, 2000. In the last 31 years. Wait, wow, 85? Wow. Yeah, it's kind of hard to work them out. Yeah, it was 31 years ago, 1985. I don't know why I haven't watched it in that length of time, but like it and me, we just came together like peanut butter and jam. It's just like we melded, like
okay, yeah, and you contributed the jam, or?
I kind of like being peanut butter. It just seems
okay.
Right. So yeah, I guess I was the peanut butter to their delicious jam.
Yeah.
In that we just like as soon as like we came into contact, it's like yes, this is something I'm gonna like enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy the entire way through. The special effects weren't amazingly mind-breaking. We could, with a little time and effort, recreate all the special effects ourselves.
Okay.
That said, I mean, it was some excellent use of cuts, literally and figuratively. Like, there's a guy who loses his head and then gets reanimated, sort of thing. So he's just like a disembodied head for his bit. And so the bits where it's got him as a head being moved versus him looking around and just not showing anything beneath the neckline. So you just have the actor just, like put your head here and then just look around and act like a disembodied head that can somehow still speak. And he was able to do that. So there's some, and that's the thing I think I love the most out of the classic horror sort of things from like the 80s. The special effects weren't like amazingly groundbreaking, but it was the use of the camera work. Like, one thing I noticed as I was watching the movie, there's the over-the-shoulder cam style, where one of the characters is like, I hear something, and I will go into this other area. And as I'm going there, the camera is right behind, so he's kind of like on the one side, and you're kind of like a person behind him looking over his shoulder. It's a great way of keeping the action intense and very personal, and making you feel like you are there in with it.
Okay.
As opposed to just like, and then he walks across the screen, and this happens. For some reason, like this movie connected though with me so deep. Like I am putting this up on the shelf of my brain of great movies I will always forever love.
Oh, cool.
Like this one, I'm putting it right up next to the Evil Dead series. Like, it goes right up next to there on my mantelpiece. And yeah, so I fit it right between Evil Dead and Return of the Living Dead. So apparently I have some sort of bias for really enjoying zombie flicks. I don't know if it's a personal thing, because like honestly, up on my mantelpiece, there's also the original Hellraiser, and slightly down on the mantelpiece are its sequels. But yeah, like as I'm just thinking in my head about like great movies, like if I'm gonna introduce you to a movie, you gotta make sure you gotta see this sort of thing. 3 out of 4 of them are effectively zombie flicks. Interesting. So I learned that about myself. Apparently, I'm big on zombie films. More so than I had thought, before. The weird bit was that it seemed to intrigue Zoe. I rented this from the library, and what we do is Zoe helps me check out all the movies and books we rent from the library. I use my card, I enter in the numbers, she scans the stuff, and she holds the movies. And on the way home, she's like, Daddy, I'm going to look at this one. And it's the cover for Reanimator. I'm thinking, well, that's weird, because the other movie we rented was Disney's Hercules.
Yeah.
And she seems more interested in, like, what's up with this weird cover? And suddenly, I had a flash occur back to me, like, you ever have one of those memories that's just completely buried? Like, it was just like, it's a little something that happens, and, like, all of a sudden it, like, takes significance?
Yes.
I remember, like, back in my hometown, about going through like the movie selection in the movie, spots, back home, and seeing all these weird stuff. She's like, ooh, what's this one? Like, look at this. This one looks crazy. What's up with this? Just looking at the covers of the movies and just seeing, it's like, what story does this hold with this image? Like, you can get some of the kid ones fairly easy. It's like, oh yeah, Hercules. There's Hercules. There's the love interest. There's the Pegasus. There's the bad guy. There's his dad. Bada bing. It tells you like basically who you're going to encounter. But the horror movies are a little different. They're alluring in a way. It's like
a shadow of a person, maybe a child, but you can't tell.
Or it's a skull with eyeballs still in its socket peering over itself at you. Ooh. Or it's something going on, where like a guy is like surrounded by green glowing chemicals as like the dead rise up around him. Ooh. And so it very much it's an enticement on there that you don't see for the other stuff. Like romantic comedy sort of thing. It's just a nice little idyllic image. Here's your two love interests and a wonderful scene about like where they're falling in love behind them. This one is almost like it has to give you an extra selling point. And I suddenly remembered when I was
now I want to do a romantic comedy set like in a zombie setting.
I'd watch it. I'd give it a shot. I mean, I'm okay with mixing genres, provided they mix well.
You have a picture of that, smiling happy couple in the front with like the zombies like chasing somebody else in the back.
Okay, no, they're back to back, but they're looking over each other's shoulders at each other lovingly as they're fighting. Like one person's got like a chainsaw, the other one's got a shotgun, and they're like chopping the hell out of each other for like zombies, and they're just sitting right next to each other. It's like the zombies don't really matter. It's about the love that happens between them.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I figure this. It's like, as I've always said, it's not for the zombie movie is never really about the zombies. It's about the people in a stressful situation. And what could be better as a twist on everyone's like at each other's throats? Like, why worry about the zombies? He's at your throat right now. When it's like, no. And then, under the stress of fighting against the zombie apocalypse, they fell in love. Like, you've got the horror of the zombies contrasted with the love of a romantic comedy. This could work out amazingly well. Like, this is kismet going on here.
Yeah.
Plus, a bunch of gore sort of thing, and then, it's like, oh, wait, we can't kiss. Just get a towel. There we go. You got blood all over you. I don't know if this is like a bloodborne zombie infection thing, but we got to clean up first. Okay, mooching, face hugging and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that could work very well. But yeah, like I had the thought occurred to me. It's like, wait a minute, I couldn't have been much older than Zoe when such a thing happened with me, looking at these horror movies and just staring at the covers. And then, like when we get home, so I says, Daddy, when you watch this movie, I'm going to crawl out to the hallway and I'm going to have a little peek. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's interested in the concept of what's going on in this sort of thing. I won't discourage her from it, but I won't say, okay, you should probably sit here and watch the movie with me. So later on, I don't get a chance to watch it. Not all right away, sort of thing. You got to savor the build on something like this. This is like an aged wine, man, sort of thing. And so I wait a couple days, and then finally, okay, I got some spare time. I'll sit down and watch it. Zoe misses the initial gory scene. A good horror movie always has that initial gory scene at the very start to get you in on it right away, right? And then you can do the build. You've already got your gore, sated for a while. Let's meet the characters and then build up to gore again, right? It's the standard style. So Zoe misses the initial gore thing, and then she comes out and she's peeking. There's nothing too scary happening on there. So she goes behind the chair and she's looking, and she hides. She's looking, she hides, and she's like, Zoe, do you want to sit next to Daddy on this in case it gets scary? And she's like, yes, that would be a good idea. And so she sits next to me. And then there's a few scenes going on as this passes. There's a scene where they're doing a bit of a vivisection, where they're showing the brain of a human being. So they cut the scalp and peel the skin off of the skull, and then there's the bone saw. They don't actually show cutting the skull in that bit, and then it pops out, and then out comes the brain. Zoe watches this. She flinches no more than I do at the concept of like tearing off the skin of somebody's head and then taking the brains out of a skull. It's like, wow.
Alive? A dead person?
It was dead. Sort of thing. It was, I guess it was technically an autopsy, but it was for a class or thing, so it was just, I get kind of a necropsy in this case. Say la vie, right? Like sort of thing. It's like, okay, that's not bad. Maybe she just doesn't get the full impact of what it's like, like what we're really seeing here. And then later on, there's a scene with a dead cat in a mini fridge. And she's perfectly okay with that. I'm looking, I've got my hand like on her shoulder, and so I'm paying attention to her heartbeat.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go up. Like, she had a hard time going into the spirit of Halloween. Like, her heartbeat was just up through the roof on this one, all the scary stuff going on in there. And I was just like, here is like a styrofoam skeleton next to a gravestone. And that was getting her heart beating. But this dead cat in a fridge is not. And then later on, because it's, like a movie where things come back from the dead, the cat is, back from the dead. And she's perfectly all right seeing the two guys have to attack and kill, I guess for a second time, the cat.
Oh.
She's all right with this sort of thing. It's like, okay. And it isn't until that they get a person back to life that she's like, Daddy, I think I'm going to have to go to the bedroom now. So it's like, okay, I pause it and I take her out there. Perfectly fine. She had no nightmares. And I'm amazingly surprised at just how brave she was at watching such a visceral, scary movie.
Yeah.
That said, there is a little crossover, spill over to real life. There's a scene, guy hears something crazy out in the middle of the night, or something. He's like, oh my God, what's that? So he grabs a baseball bat and he goes out into search to find out what the heck's going on there, right? And she asks, Daddy, why does he have a baseball bat? And then I had to explain, well, he's going to use it to protect himself. Like a lot of people have stuff to protect themselves just in case something happens in the middle of the night. And then it occurs to me, I have something like that, or at least I did. I call him the Professor. He is a pry-bar, and he teaches the hardest lessons. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't recall seeing my pry-bar in a very long time. Where is that darn thing? I used to have it up on the wall, but it fell down once or twice, and then it's just like, no, if we're going to have a kid in here, and we don't want this thing falling off the wall, it could hurt someone. Where did I put it? So I asked my wife, and she goes, I think it's underneath the bed. And she goes and she looks, yeah, it's underneath the bed next to your book. And I look back, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I have right next to the Professor my complete collection of Conan stories.
The Professor?
The Professor.
The Professor.
As opposed to Professor.
Okay.
It's something from Stephen Colbert I saw one night, sort of thing. You saw a homeless guy that teaches himself called the Professor. And it's like, wow, that's the name for my pry bar then. And like everyone else in the room agreed with me. That would be the perfect name for it. So stuck. The Professor.
Oh, okay.
And so somehow, like, Zoe mixed Herbert West with the pry bar I had because she didn't know about, like, the pry bar sort of thing. So I'm trying to explain to her, like, what a protective weapon is to have in your own home. And Ren is talking about how the Professor is right next to the book. So in her mind, while we were watching this movie, the Professor, Herbert West, snuck into my house, left a book underneath my bed because he is very sneaky, and then he killed a cat and brought a human back to life. And it's like, does she believe this happened in real life? Because there's a book there, sort of thing. And I tried to explain it to her. I showed her the Professor. I showed her the pry bar. It's like, this is dangerous. There's like a bit of a spiky thing here, so you be careful there. It's very heavy, so we don't want you to play with this, and we don't want you to. It's not a toy. And she's like, okay, I understand, sort of thing. But she's still talking about how the Professor came into the house, said he's very sneaky, and he left me a book, and he killed a cat. And I'm thinking, like, this might be a very weird memory to have to clear up for her in, like, another 5-10 years when she asks, what was up with that guy sneaking into our house back in the day?
Okay.
Because it's going to be a weird memory, and, like, honestly, I mean, this is how stuff like Santa Claus gets created, man. Like, if she can get, like, some schoolmates to believe this concept in another 150 years, they're going to be like, oh, if you're not a good person, the Professor's going to sneak into your house, but he is not going to leave you any books. So it's like, wow, it's like, I have no idea where this is going to go, but this is weird, man. This is weird. That's it. I am still incredibly surprised and very happy to see how brave my daughter was at this sort of thing. But as soon as she said she didn't want to see it anymore, pause the thing, take her over to the other room, and make sure I calm her down. Make sure she's got giggles and all that sort of thing going on there.
Okay.
So I like no nightmares either. So I was like, yay! And then once that was done, I closed the door behind me because like there's a zombie attacking people. This is going to get loud. And then I watched the rest of the movie, and my heartbeat stayed elevated, and the smile didn't leave my face for the rest of the night. Yeah, it's just like I fell in love with this movie. I can't even rank it out of like dwarves. This is one full zombie apocalypse rating, man. And like
1 billion zombies out of 1 billion.
Oh my goodness! Like if there is a word I could use to describe how much I want everybody to watch this movie,
It is a zombie movie?
Effectively, I mean it's like reanimating people.
But it's not like hordes of zombies.
There are more than like a few zombies in one scene, sort of thing. You know,
Okay.
going on. The denouement, sort of thing. Things get weird. I mean, it's a standard horror sort of style. Like one zombie, like a zombie here, one zombie is there, sort of thing, and then at the end, like you increase the amount of zombies. Make the final act really seem that much more scary. And I won't lie, it's a movie I actually do believe everybody should watch.
Okay.
I do think I may have an unfair bias because I really did like the Herbert West character played by Jeffrey Combs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fully supportive of him. I do not support his cat killing ways. I have had a roommate with a cat who I did not agree with. I did not kill the cat. I just tried to stay away from the cat. If the cat's in this room, I'm in that room. I close the door. The cat's not in my bedroom while I sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I believe more people should adopt that sort of strategy of, just like, like you do your thing, I'll do mine. Don't go killing the cat because you don't like it.
Well, I suppose if our listeners can take one thing away from this podcast, don't kill cats.
Yeah. That said, I mean, like, I am really on the fence about, like, him killing other people. Because, I mean, like, the one,
They had it coming?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, this dude is really, like, a messed up, crazy person. He did,
Should probably kill crazy people.
That sets up for some sort of weird eugenics sort of thing. But, I mean, like, this guy has a creepy fetish for the female lead who is, like, less than half his age. He has done, neurosurgery, effectively lobotomizing a patient without proper medical consent.
Okay.
And is otherwise a manipulative douche nozzle. So that's like 3 strikes. So, like, in the movie sense term, dude deserved to die.
Okay.
But in a greater sense, it's like, no, you shouldn't kill anybody. So it's like, ooh. Yeah. So it's like...
Also, let the justice system take care of it. If your country happens to have the death penalty, okay. I mean, I still don't agree, but okay. But yeah, there's this vigilante justice.
What's the thing? I mean, he was, in the process of stealing Herbert West's, notes and formula. He was calling it, it's my formula. I'll be, they'll retire the Nobel Prize in my name. And so he was very much like a information. I mean, it was even set up in the first scene. It's like Herbert West worked with his previous colleague, and so you say like, oh yes, your work is so heavily derivative of him over in Europe, it's considered plagiarism. So this is a guy who has stolen information before, or effectively cribbed it to such a degree that some places can, refer to it as plagiarism, right?
Yeah.
And I have a very negative stance on stealing and that sort of thing.
You should probably die and have your corpse reanimated if you're going to do that.
Or at least parts of it.
Okay.
Yeah, things get weird. So here's the thing, though. Is like, I really can't condone killing anybody. On the other hand, like, if anyone, I would condone the killing of, is like, this guy is like a prime candidate.
An unethical scientist.
Unethical scientist.
The worst thing you can be.
Crazy pervert. I mean, like, it wasn't just like he had like a fetish, like, oh, look at her, she's young and she's blonde, and oh my goodness, she's 21 years old. This is, oh yeah, because I mean, like, the internet does that a lot for.
Yeah, we might have a lot fewer. We'd have a lot more zombies if zombification was the penalty for being a pervert.
But here's the thing: it's like he had a file, in his cabinet where it has like her scarf, article clippings about her, and even a lock of her hair. That's pretty damn messed up.
A little bit worse, but again, if we punished everybody who had keepsakes, yeah.
A lock of her hair without her knowledge or permission. That's pretty bad. That is pretty damn bad. Like, where did he even get the lock of her hair, man? That is, wow. Plus, I mean, she is the daughter of his friend.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, wow, that is just like so many levels of no, not right. So, yeah. Like, oof. So yeah, like I'd like to say I do not approve of Herbert West's, like professor killing ways, but the guy really had it coming. I don't feel any
in the
loss.
Hollywood sense. Okay.
Yeah. I can't, I can't even wag my damn finger at him.
Okay.
Plus, the way Herbert West, acts about himself, he conducts himself in a very professional sort of attitude.
Okay, then he's alled to kill if he's going to be professional.
No, that's why I liked the character. Sort of
okay.
He maintained himself as a very serious attitude, very, I have to do this, I have my reasons for this, I want to try and, save millions of lives, and the fact that other people aren't even listening to me is downright ludicrous when I could be doing so much for the world. And I do appreciate a person that is, well-intentioned, and definitely trying to change the world for the better, even if his single-minded devotion winds up causing all the issues. I have sympathy for him in that case.
A sympathetic, sort of evil, but main character. I guess that's... Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the sort of thing. I mean, who was the main character? Was it the good guy who was going out with the lady, sort of thing? He was having relationships with her, but that's okay.
Multiple relationships with one lady.
Well, he was having, he was, on the surface, he was dating the dean's daughter. But the dean was kind of a stuffed shirt sort of thing, and so they had to hide the fact that their relationship was very physical.
Okay. Ooh, 1984, eh?
Yeah. Well, they weren't even married, and they were having premarital relations. Oh my goodness. So I will say, there was levels as to their relationship going on there, but they were very much on the same age category, so it was very nice. So it's like, is that him as the main character? He's going to graduate in medical school sort of thing. He's got the love interest. He's the dean seems to like him up until the evil professor starts whispering poisoned words into his ears. Mm-hmm. So is he the main character, or is it actually Herbert West, the guy who's going to change the world with his reanimation, formula? Mm. So it's kind of weird to figure out who the protagonist was in that regard, because I'm going to kind of split it halfway. They were both protagonists in that regard. You can do that, right? You can have two protagonists.
Yeah, it's a modern. Yeah, you can.
They were co-protagonists.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't fit in your English high school English sort of classifications. You got to have a protagonist and an antagonist. I guess probably protagonist would be more like who you would consider the good guy, the moral character, if there is one.
Yeah, I won't lie. Herbert West was amoral at best. The cat killing kind of knocks him down at least one peg.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood terms. Yeah, killing a cat.
Although it was never shown him killing the cat, and when they found the cat in the mini fridge, when they were looking for the cat, sort of thing, I was I haven't seen him all day. He claims that the cat got into the garbage and suffocated when the cat's head got stuck in a jar. Mm. So if he's not lying, sort of thing, I mean, he put his what was I going to do? Leave you a note? Cat's dead. News later when I return. So it's he's not going to have the corpse stinking up the place, so he put it in the fridge, right? But then later on, he's experimenting with it, bringing it back. So it's really suspicious as to what he did to it.
And maybe he felt he felt guilty about it dying on his watch, whether or not he killed it himself. And then he's like, I'll bring it back, and then everything will be okay.
Well, he's experimented with animals before, sort of thing. So as he's perfecting his formula. It was never explicitly stated one way or another what happened to that cat, but it was heavily implied he killed the darn thing.
Okay.
So I can't call him moral in any sense. The moral figure was very much his roommate companion sort of thing.
Okay.
But I was watching this and I was like, who is the protagonist on here? Because they both seem to have very good status as to how you're going to regard it. Yeah, well, it's the protagonist is sort of the person who the viewers sort of see as themselves?
who you sort of follow their point of view for the story, and it's their story being told, and they're the one who either survives to the end or very near the end and sort of learns something or imparts a lesson to the viewer.
In that case, I don't know if there was a protagonist, because by the end of it, Herbert West is, no, save my work, is, he's getting dragged off, sort of thing. But it's not as though the other guy winds up actually doing, stuff where he learns lesson, a positive lesson out of it. no spoilers and all that sort of thing, but it's just like, ooh, the way you describe it, neither of them technically qualifies by end of movie as being protagonist.
It might default to Herbert West then because the movie is named after him, and he sort of instigates the events of the thing, although sometimes an antagonist can instigate. But in this case, I think it's like sort of the story surrounding him, right? So,
yeah.
But how much screen time does he have? That's another.
It's about split between the two protagonist options there. So this is a very close call. In which case, I'm going to have to say, screw you, high school English. These are co-protagonists. It's the story of the two of them and how their interactions between each other led to this series of events occurring.
I think that's a reasonable sort of mode to create. I don't know if I'm sure some English classes probably have that as an option, but yeah, two either opposing forces or somewhat opposing forces. I guess not entirely opposing, but
complementary forces in this case.
Yeah, and you're following sort of each of their points of view at different points of the film, roughly equally, until you get to the end where each of them meet their own version of an end, and where they each learn something or have something or like reveal something about the world through their experience
or reveal how they've changed throughout the course.
Yeah, how they change, or how they have affected the world in the case of the antagonist or the
Very interesting. In that case, I'm going to have to sit down and do even more thinking about this movie. My goodness.
Do you remember back in English class they had man versus man, man versus environment, and man versus self?
Yeah.
So I guess this would be a man versus man story, probably, if they're. Or is it
man versus man versus unnature?
I would say it's nature.
The nature of death, man fighting trying to fight death itself.
Especially that Lovecraft's view of nature is not lovey-dovey like butterflies and. Happy.
It does encompass things that are not considered natural by us, but throughout the greater perspective of the cosmos is more valid. So from a grander, wider out view, it's man versus nature.
Yeah. Man versus self.
But if Herbert West had been more personable, he probably could have avoided a lot of the strife throughout the entire course of events.
Okay.
So it is kind of a man versus self, at least in a secondary regard. I won't lie, I caught myself thinking, man, if Herbert West had been my roommate, we could have avoided a lot of these issues, and I could have helped him out a lot better than this other guy did.
Yeah.
So,
one other question I'll ask you about this, sometimes movies will depict scientists in a negative light, or as science being sort of evil, or curiosity being a negative thing. Do you feel that way about this movie, or do you feel it's kind of approaches science in a...
I think it approached scientists as people as much as anything. Like I said, the creepy, guy who kind of had it coming, deserved to die. He had his very negative traits, sort of thing. But he also did help, invent a laser sort of thing to help out with surgery. So if this had been able to go through a natural sequence of events without Herbert West, he would have been one of the people that helped revolutionize the neurosurgical fields for high-end precision. So as opposed to cutting things with a scalpel, it's just quick laser precision sort of thing going on there.
Okay, so there are scientists in the movie who are very good for the world. Science is a positive force.
Or at least trying to be. And I mean, the main, I guess the non-West protagonist sort of thing, he was trying to become a doctor, and in the start of the movie, for his scene, there's a lady who's flatlining sort of thing, and they're trying to get her, and long after she's gone, he keeps trying to get her back to life. And so he clearly shows himself as a guy who's trying to be the best he can to save as many lives as possible. So he's clearly seen in a very positive light for science.
Okay.
More for the medical aspects of science. Herbert West is trying to conquer death itself. Maybe not with all the best intentions, but the movie does show scientists as being passionate people, in all the terms, passionate and people, and not just science.
Well,
science.
That sounds. I think it sounds like it's a good. I'll have to watch it for myself.
It's very humanistic.
Yeah, it sounds like it does
there.
well.
Yeah. Well, after I return to the library, you're always willing to rent it out.
I may do that, yeah.
That said, if you guys are listening out there too, find a way to rent this. Watch it. It's the right month to be doing so. Forget the fact that, yes, if you're in Canada, Thanksgiving comes first. This is a great Halloween movie. If I'm going to give this some sort of rating, it's going to have to be this is like finding a $50 bill inside a jacket you haven't worn in a while.
Okay.
I found it to be just that good. And I am tempted to watch it again before I have to return it on the Fridays.
Maybe you should, yeah, if you like it that much, yeah.
It hits all the notes for 80s, good horror movie.
Okay.
It wanted me to watch. I want to watch more horror movies now. It's not just that I want to watch it again. I want to watch more horror movies, all across the board now. I may have to look up to the original Return of the Living Dead and just watch that one myself.
Mm-hmm.
Hook up the VCR and watch my copy of the original Evil Dead. It's just because it's one of those movies that just gets you to love the genre, especially if you're aware, as I am. It's oh yes, I can see how they're doing this here. I like how they're doing that there, and then yes, it goes on. I guess a bit of a warning alert. There's a lot of nipples. There's boobs aplenty being seen in there.
Okay.
That said, I really don't consider them to be erotic in almost any of the scenes. Mm-hmm. The one scene where they're making love, there's a breast shot, but otherwise it's yes, this just happens to be like a cadaver sort of thing. So it's it's not eroticized in any regard.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it is being eroticized, it's eroticized with very creepy zombie tones going on. So it's no, I do not find this to be arousing.
Okay, well.
So yeah, some people are very big against that. If you're going to be watching this, oh yeah, I'm going to watch this, with my parents or thing, and there's conservative family. One, what are you doing watching a horror movie with conservative family? Two, be aware that yes, there is naked breasts.
Okay, good. So, people know that. We're a bit over time, so.
Just a bit over time. I could have spent another half hour talking about this stuff about how this all goes through.
Okay.
Suffice to say, I love the movie so much. I caught myself thinking, what if I get an image of this Herbert West, and I next time I go in for a haircut, I say, give me this kind of haircut because it looked really good on him. And I was like, well, it's kind of got a highbrow look. I thought maybe I could make that work. Look, so it's it synced with me on levels I just didn't know you could sync in that quickly with because I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Woo! I'm enjoying it. I'm still riding the high. That said, I think if you want to, if you out there are thinking about making a movie, I'm going to make my own horror movie, this is a movie that you should watch at least twice. Once to see it as the movie, and once to watch as how they do the tricks, how they do the cutting, and the cinematography. There's some real good, simple tricks you can learn to really create the best you can out of your scenes and your shots. Okay.
Do you know who directed it?
I could find it in just a second. The Internet Movie Database has that.
Yeah, I'll put up a link. People can...
Wikipedia's got it. There was 2 sequels, Bride of Reanimator, released in 1990, and one that was released back in 2003.
Okay.
For all that stuff. I've been told the quality on them is not quite as high.
Yeah.
That's sad. They do have Jeffrey Combs back in to replay Herbert West in both cases, so at least it's got that sort of continuity going on it.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So yes, 1 full zombie apocalypse rating out of it.
Okay.
Can't give it any higher ratings.
So that's 1 billion zombies.
Yes, 1 billion zombies out of 1 billion. How can people get a hold of us, though, if they want to say hey, if you thought that was good, you should really see this movie?
Oh, well, send us email, thesimulationist@gmail.com is our email address. Contact on us on Facebook, facebook.com/thesimulationist, where you can chat with other people who might also be on Facebook and also like that page.
Or might also just want to, if they appreciate this movie as well, then and you want to get the word about another movie that's like it, then yeah, it's a great way of making sure that more people see it.
Yeah, if you comment on our Facebook page or on any of the links that we put up to each of these episodes that you're listening to now, other people will be able to see it, and it'll show up, and yeah, people can interact.
You can spread the love of a good horror movie. Or if there is a good like romantic zombie comedy sort of thing, I've seen a few bits on them, but never anything that quite like what we described. But if there's like if we described a movie that actually exists with this romantic zombie combo, let us know. By all means, send us word. Send the word out to everybody. Post it up, like where people can see it.
Yeah, I wonder if like somebody's done like an independent one like that or something.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
So yeah, also we're on youtube.com/thesimulationist, where you can also comment and stuff. Same deal as on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter at Josh_Trelaffin, TRESLAFFIN on Twitter.
So if all you want to do is tweet like the name of the movie, Adam, you can do that one.
Yeah, that's a quick way. I always promise to tweet more, but right now it's hard for me to tweet more because I don't have that much internet access. But in the future I will be, and I will also get notifications if somebody tweets at me. So go ahead and do that. And also you can check us out on Patreon.com if you feel like supporting the show. It's patreon.com/thesimulationist. Support us with little donation that's available. You don't have to.
If you're financially strapped, you could always make the people out there a little bit more aware of us. Like if you say like, hey, this guy likes the same movie you do. You guys should listen to this and see if you guys like it for the same reason, or if you guys liked it for completely different reasons. Man, you got to listen to why he dug it. Let people know it's as good as a Patreon donation.
In fact it's a lot better. There is no amount of, well, unless it was like $1 billion or something, there's no amount of Patreon pledges that you could give that would be worth as much to us as just sharing and spreading the word. Whether that's online through the message boards that you might frequent, I can't speak, or in real life if you have a gaming group, or if you have nerdy friends, or if you have non-nerdy friends who you think might enjoy a nerdy podcast for some reason.
If you know someone who likes to listen to podcasts while they're cleaning the house, dude, we just helped them get 105 minutes of cleaning in right now this time around, man. That's good.
We did indeed. Now, have I forgotten anything?
I think you covered.
One other thing. On this coming Thursday, I'm going to be at Ratfish at 123 Gorge Road. That's underneath the Ramada. I want people to come out to there and meet me in real life if we have any listeners in Victoria.
I've been told they have some rather good wings over there.
I also make the wings, so I'm doing comedy and kitchen.
I've been told by people that don't know you that the wings over at Ratfish are great.
Yeah. Oh, well, I concur because I have eaten plenty myself.
So there's multiple reasons for you to go there.
Yeah, and it's only $5 to get in. If you chat with me beforehand, you might even get in free, but although we'll have to talk about that.
See what you can do.
I might be able to get you in free.
Full strength.
But, support local comedy and stuff. But yeah, that's another thing that's happening. Watch out for us on Roll for Initiative too. That's our monthly D&D event that anybody can go to. There's also a small fee charge for that, $8 to $10. I can't remember what we have it at currently. But yeah, Roll for Initiative, we played Dungeons & Dragons together, and anybody can come and join us. So I'll put a link for that in our show notes.
If you're curious about playing D&D, you never had it before, they can help you out, man. It's a good, and it's a cheaper way than just buying the books and studying it and then hoping and then I'll magically become great at D&D.
That's exactly. We have all the materials you need. We have the books, the dice, the pencils, and we will happily teach you how to play the game. So yeah, we specifically designed this event to be noob friendly for D&D, to help get people into the game, and possibly you meet people at our event, and then you later on go ahead to create your own gaming group with them or something like that.
Because you want to game more often, because you're just into it now.
That's the idea. So yeah, come on out to Roll for Initiative, or if you're a veteran gamer who hasn't played in a while, that's a good way to get back into it too.
Knock the dust off, right?
Yeah. Or if you have old books. We're playing the latest. I've upgraded. I'm now running 5th edition there too. So, but that comes at the end of each month. So I don't know the exact date. It's usually the last Saturday of the month. So
yeah, look it up.
Yeah,
find out.
If you're listening in the far future, it's probably still going on. It's a monthly thing. You can look up Roll for Initiative, Victoria, British Columbia, and find us there. Okay, is that all the things?
I think that's about everything, yeah.
All right, thanks for listening. I've been Josh Levin.
I've been Ryan Kirkby.
And send money.